Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. 38th favorite dad, the family community, Papa West, Jacob West, here for another episode of TMG Takes the Field. Missed last week. That was on me. My Wednesday got kind of crazy. So I made the executive decision. Let's quit doing Wednesday shows because Wednesday are super, super busy for me. And I had something added on to it. So let's start doing Tuesdays and we'll see how it goes. And I can see myself and oh, that's a glare or what, but it's annoying me. The one issue about a beard is your hair can go all over the place. I'll get over it. But yes, I missed last week, uh, coming back this week, and I have a very exciting show today. Going to be a little bit different because my main topic is always NCAA football. And guess what's over? NCAA football. Um, there's no news on it either because we are out of the season. Recruiting's kind of going to start here pretty soon. National Signing Day is coming up here in the next couple months. So I will have more things to let you know. Several players still in the transfer portal who have not committed to new schools. They don't really sign. That might be changing here in the next couple of years. Um, especially with college athletes now being able to sign deals and stuff like that. So we'll see how that all affects everything. First off, I do want to start out the show by breaking some news. Not really breaking news, more talking about NFL stuff. Because I'm gonna have to start talking about the NFL if I want to have a show. So, Matt, I am sorry. I will steal some of your thunder. Biggest thing I want to talk about, we kind of broke down all the coaching firings. Of course, last time we were live was the Wednesday right after the regular season ended, which Black Monday is what it's popularly called, because a lot of coaches tend to get fired whenever they have been failing. We had some big names this last couple weeks, and one that was announced like right after I got off the air. So I didn't talk about it then, so I'm going to talk about it now. The Houston Texans let go of their head coach, David Culley. This one's a little weird to me. This is David Culley's first year as a head coach. And so I don't know what's going on with that. Um, there's some speculation as soon as they heard Brian Flores was available, they decided to cut Culley so they could get Flores, which is a very, very understandable. Because Brian Flores was definitely one of the bigger surprises. Not many people were expecting him to be out of a job for what he did with the Dolphins past couple years. Also, some talk about Josh McCown. He was a quarterback with them. Um, Everyone talks about him being a great leader, and so trying to get him to move up to be a coach. I don't know exactly what. All I know is the guy took a team everyone was expecting to be in last place. Everyone was expecting an 0-17 year, and got him like 4 wins, including a win against the Titans, who were going into this week the number one seed in the AFC. So that is definitely a big surprise. Another big surprise, we haven't really had that many signings as far as coaches go. The all the teams who are looking for coaches are still looking for coaches. Um, no one has signed a new head coach yet. There's not a ton of rumors as far as who is going to be signed to which team. Um, and so definitely kind of interesting. Usually we hear at least one team has signed a coach, but this year it's kind of going a little bit slower. Of course, one name that kind of gets brought up a lot is Eric Bieniemy, the defensive coordinator of the Chiefs. He's still coaching. Granted, a lot of teams will ask playoff coaches, playoff organizations, if they can coach or if they can interview their coordinators during the postseason. So I haven't heard his name. I mean, definitely Brian Flores has been brought up to most, has been brought up in most coaching vacancies. Another name is Jim Caldwell. Um, he was involved in the Colts organization. He coached the Lions for a while. Very good coach. Kind of stepped down 4 or 5 years ago. It was a while ago, and just hasn't done anything since. Um, Maybe he'll go the Dick Vermeil route. I just watched American Underdog a couple weeks ago, so I'm like very knowledgeable about everything Kurt Warner right now. If the movie was true, fully true. If it wasn't true and they took liberties on a lot of stuff, I'm gonna be saying wrong things. That's okay. I've said wrong things before. I do kind of want to give a breakdown on the playoffs. We won't talk about the wild card round because that was a week ago, but we will talk about the divisional round that just happened. And oh my goodness, it was an exciting week. Um, it started off, I want to say the first game was the Titans versus the Bengals. I mean, I definitely know that was. I'm just pulling up the score so I have it in front of me. Yeah, the Titans and Bengals. Bengals started out really strong, but they couldn't score a touchdown. Kept kicking field goals, and that ended up being the way they won the game. Bengals won 19-16. Joe Burrow, I believe, was sacked like 8 times. Um, that does not bode well for me when it comes to their chances next week. And if they make it next week, their chances in the Super Bowl. You can't let your quarterback be sacked multiple times and win against good teams. It really worked out for them in this one. Granted, I've said it for the past couple years. I don't trust Ryan Tannehill, and that was proved correct. But no, during the offseason, before the draft, over on Inside the Horseshoe, uh, we all did mock drafts, and like everyone was saying, the Bengals need a lineman. They need to rebuild that offensive line. They didn't. It actually ended up working out for them, but it is going to bite them in the butt. The other game on Saturday would have been the 49ers taking on the Packers. 49ers, the only wild card team to win during wild card weekend, where they beat the Cowboys because Dak doesn't know the rules. Taking on the Packers, the number one seed. Everyone was expecting the Packers to just walk away with it. And another like close game. The 49ers edged it out 13-10. Aaron Rodgers now 0-2 against the Packers or against the 49ers in the postseason. A lot of speculation on where he will be. We'll talk about that here in a second. Those were the two Saturday night games. As far as Sunday goes, the Rams took on the Buccaneers. We're up like 27-3 at halftime, and then the Buccaneers came back. Fortunately, the Rams were able to win the game 30-27 on a last-second field goal. It's like all these games were last-second field goals. And then we had, most people say, the best game, or at least the best two teams, the Bills and Chiefs. Let me tell you what, if you didn't have a heart attack watching the Rams Buccaneers game, I know my brother did. I got close. You would have been in for it with the Chiefs Bills game. This was very back and forth. This was very exciting. The last like 4 minutes, there were 3 lead changes, I believe. And anytime a team scores a go-ahead touchdown and gets the 2-point conversion to have a 3-score lead with like 20 seconds left on the clock, that team wins most of the time when they're playing average teams. Bills, of course, had the lead. The receiver Davis was lights out, which was good because no one else on that team except for Josh Allen was lights out. But yeah, they got the lead with 13 seconds left in the game. Most people think it's over. Patrick Mahomes had said otherwise. He was able to carry the team down it was like the 30-yard line to kick an easy field goal to tie the game. And then made it to overtime, got the ball to start off the game, and just ran it down and scored a touchdown. Definitely an exciting game. Do we need to change the playoff rules? I don't think so. I mean, if we change it, maybe give both teams one shot, but I mean, I was a fan of the overtime rules back when it was first team to score wins regardless. They still do that? Yeah, I think they still do that with or no, I think they changed normal season rules too. So yeah, if you score a touchdown, it's done. Field goal doesn't win it anymore. I knew they started that was just in playoffs, but then yep, they changed that with everything. I'm not a fan of changing the rules. I do think if you score a touchdown, that's enough to win the game. Everyone's saying, well, Josh Allen didn't have a chance. Josh Allen had a chance the entire game. There were like 3 or 4 times where he got stopped, and they had to punt the ball. Like he had a chance. And you know, when you go down the field with 13 seconds left, you deserve to win that game. So I'm not gonna be like, I'm upset Josh Allen didn't have a chance. He had a chance. Patrick Mahomes was just amazing, especially towards the end of that game. Big news coming out with 2 quarterbacks who just lost. First, we kind of talked about him a little bit. Aaron Rodgers. Last season, he had that big fiasco of him not wanting to be on the team anymore. There's a lot of speculation if he was going to get traded on draft day. That never happened. He didn't get traded, and it was like close to the beginning of the season. He signed it's like a 4-year extension with a 1-year deal. Packers also have no cap space, so there's no telling what's going to happen with that team. As far as if he will stay with them, I don't think he will. He has expressed dissatisfaction with the organization. He's been coming up short, and I don't fully think it's his fault. They haven't really put the pieces around him. Now, I will say, he's saying he wants offensive weapons. You have one of the best running backs in the league in Aaron Jones. You have one of the best wide receivers in the league in Devontae Adams. And we've seen when Devontae's not playing, he will go to Marquez Valdes-Scantling. He will go to Alan Lazard. Like he has other weapons. Robert Tonyan at tight end. Maybe like shore up that offensive line, but like that defense has always struggled. And so I don't think getting more offensive weapons would do the trick for them, because they've had other options out there. AJ Dillon, another running back. I can't remember their other running back's name, but like they have the weapons around them. They just haven't been able to solidify. They haven't been able to make that final step for whatever reason. I do think Rodgers is done. I was kind of surprised he wasn't traded last year. If he's cut, if he's traded, or if he takes his 1-year option and just signs with another team, that'll probably be what happens. He'll just go into free agency, which is upsetting because the Packers should have traded him to get something from him, but you live and you learn, right? The Buccaneers, after their loss, a lot of speculation coming out of Tom Brady. I find this very similar to Drew Brees last year. Right before the game against Tampa Bay, there was a lot coming out saying that Drew Brees said this was going to be his last game at the Metrodome. Which, of course, this was when they played the Buccaneers in the divisional round of the playoffs. The next week they would have gone to Lambeau, so this wasn't him saying we're going to lose this game or anything like that. This was him saying, "Hey, this will be my last year." There was a lot of speculation coming out before Sunday's game against the Rams that Tom Brady had been talking about this being his last year. Of course, afterwards, there was a lot of interviews of, "Hey, is this really your last year?" And he didn't say anything. I think this is going to be another one of those. Hey, here in a couple of weeks, we're gonna hear something, whether it's his last year or not. Do I think it's Tom Brady's last year? I actually do. I think he will retire this off season. Last couple of years, every time that question has been brought up, because let's be honest, that the question of retirement has been brought up a lot with Tom Brady. Every time his season's over, hey, is this gonna be your last year? Is this gonna be your last year? And his response is, like I remember it was after, I believe it was after the 28-3 Super Bowl against the Falcons. He was like, "Man, y'all really want me to retire?" It might have been after they lost to the Titans, but it was pretty recently. He wasn't answering it yes or no. He was like, "Wow, I don't know why y'all want me to retire? Why are y'all worried about this? I'm not worried about this." And just the way he was answering the questions, kind of playfully, or like, I haven't even thought about that. I believe he said like he hasn't thought about that, but just the way he answered, the way he was talking afterwards, it seemed like he was getting closer to just being done, um, or knowing that, hey, this was the last one. Is he going to retire? I don't know. Kind of want him to because I am not a big Tom Brady fan. But of course, if he does, I will have a lot to say about Tom Brady if he does in fact retire. Not going to go into it, of course, because we don't know. I could say everything I need to say about Tom Brady, and then tomorrow, hey, I'm going to sign a 10-year deal with the Buccaneers, and I'm not quitting anytime soon. Or he could be like, hey, I'm done. I've been doing this for 20 years. It's time to do something else. But whenever we find out, I will let you know, and I will let you know my feelings towards Tom Brady. Going into this week, we do have the Chiefs taking on the Bengals, and then the Rams taking on the 49ers. My personal predictions. Boom, boom, boom. I do think the Chiefs will beat the Bengals. Um, Kind of like what I said before, the Bengals gave up like 8 sacks, and you can't do that. Um, the Chiefs don't have the greatest defense. Tyrann Mathieu being missing most of that game last week. Like, we don't know if he'll play. So there are some question marks there. But especially after picking up Melvin Ingram, like, such a great pickup. That has fired up the defense. They've been playing a lot better since then. Him and Chris Jones, both on that line, like, that's a scary defense. That's a that's gonna scare Joe Burrow. And I realize the Bengals beat the Chiefs very recently. When it comes to playoffs, that doesn't matter. It's the same reason why last year the Saints beat the Bucks twice. Both times they played each other in the regular season, the Saints won. Come playoff time, the Buccaneers won. Like, a team doesn't sweep twice, or win both games in the regular season and then win in the playoffs. Most times because they don't really play each other that much, but when it happens, usually the team that lost wins. It's just the way it goes. Yeah, the Titans like sacked them 8 times, and the Titans have the worst pass rush, one of the worst in the NFL. Chiefs definitely have a better pass rush. I do think Joe Burrow's going to be on the ground a lot. Do I think any records are going to get broken? No. They might not even sack him 8 times, but they're going to pressure him. The biggest reason the Bengals beat the Chiefs was because of that Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. Anytime Burrow would just toss it up, I think they'll be able to get a little bit more pressure on him to where he's not able to make more, at least somewhat accurate throws. So we'll be seeing some more incomplete passes, maybe a couple interceptions. But I do think that the Chiefs will win that game and redeem themselves. And then the Rams 49ers. Don't worry, the 49ers did win week 18, 17th game for both teams. So the Rams didn't sweep them. So they are 1-1 right now. Again, this is going to come down to exactly what we've been saying. If Matthew Stafford plays great, that team's going to win. If Matthew Stafford doesn't play great, that team is going to lose. It's so weird how that team is defined by Matthew Stafford. Anytime he has not had a good game, they have not performed that well at all. And that's all Fields. I mean, you even look at that second half. Matthew Stafford wasn't doing anything. That offense was dead the second half, up until that last drive. The 49ers, I mean, they have Bosa, so they have a good defensive line. They do have a decent secondary, so they'll be able to pressure Stafford. But I just like the Rams, especially with that pickup of Von Miller. Yeah, Chiefs. I said it with Melvin Ingram. The Rams pick up a Von Miller, so now you have Donald coming on one side, Miller coming on the other side. That's scary. And then Cooper Kupp too. Like Stafford doesn't even have to throw it to him every time. He just throws it at him, and Cooper will stop, run towards the ball, catch the ball, and then run back. It's a very scary dynamic. Plus, I do like the Rams' run game a little bit better than I like the 49ers' run game. Both have two solid running back rooms. 49ers have been dealing with injuries with that. So I believe they just have Elijah Moore at the moment, which is still a decent running back, but I do think that the Rams do have the better overall team, will win. So we'll see a Chiefs-Rams Super Bowl. We saw them play each other a couple years ago, and it was an exciting game. But that's all I have for the NFL today. Next, I do want to talk about Major League Baseball. Some special news. No, the lockout is still happening, so season's not back yet. But we did have some information regarding the Hall of Fame. We only have one inductee in the Hall of Fame this year, and that is Big Papi David Ortiz. First baseman / designated hitter of the Boston Red Sox. He played his entire career with the team, which is very amazing. Of course, one of his greatest achievements was 2003, 2004, when they were down 3-0 against the Yankees in the ALCS. Came back, took it to Game 7 and won, and then beat the Cardinals to become World Series champions. The first time they have won in over 100 years. Of course, most known as like the curse of the great Bambino, Babe Ruth, because they traded him for pocket change. It was horrible. You can hear me talk about that on a sports brawl that happened 2-3 years ago. Worst trades in all of history. And then he led them to 2-3 other World Series. One of the greatest, and he's more known as a designated hitter too. Like he played first base, but he was mainly their DH. One of the biggest reasons you should have a DH is Papi right there. What's funny is my most well known memory of him is not a Papi memory at all. It's just like whenever I hear Matt Damon, I immediately go, "I'm Matt Damon," because of his character in Team America: World Police. And that wasn't even Matt Damon. That was someone pretending to be Matt Damon. But Big Papi, my favorite thing about him, my favorite memory of him, it was like an MLB shop thing. There's like their apparel is so authentic, and this white guy in Japan, he puts on a Red Sox hat, and everyone's like, "Big Papi, Big Papi, Big Papi." And he takes off his hat. One of the guys says, "You know Big Papi." As a Yankee fan, like it hurts thinking about him. But you gotta respect the guy. I know there was a couple years ago he was in an accident. There was a lot of scare about that. Thankfully, he is all right. But yeah, Major League Baseball is a little weird how they do their home run, or not their home run, their Hall of Fame stuff, because you have to get 75% approval to break the threshold. He got 77.9%. So I'm a little. I wonder who, where the what is that? 22.1% came in. We need to talk to them. He's the 58th player elected in his first year of eligibility, something that does not happen a lot. And he is currently the youngest of 75 living members of the Hall of Fame. He's only 46 years old. He's barely older than Tom Brady. That is amazing. Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens still have not made it in. Of course, there's a lot of speculation. Is it because of steroid usage? It is definitely because of steroid usage. Will they ever get in? I think they will eventually, but it's going to be a while. That's just one of those dirty thoughts in sports. You hate to say it's like the Black Sox, because that is definitely a different thing. Or also Pete Rose, how he was fixing games with betting. So it's one of those like tricky, I don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole subject. I do think Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens will get in eventually. It's going to be in like 20, 30 years, though. They probably will not be alive to make their Hall of Fame speeches. It's going to be like at that point where nobody voting will remember anything about the steroid era, and it'll just be like one of those little asterisk notes. And then you'll have me as that old guy. Barry Bonds is the home run champion because he cheated. And everyone's be like, okay, Grandpa, go back to bed or whatever. So it'll be a while, just like Pete Rose. Will he ever get in? Well, right now he's banned from everything baseball. I imagine whenever, especially if gambling becomes available everywhere, sports betting, it's available in like 10 states at the moment. So it is becoming more and more accepted everywhere. Until then, I don't think he'll get in or not be banned. But after that, I imagine we'll be hearing his name pretty soon. Again, like I said, there's a lot going on, so we don't have a ton of baseball news going on right now. But as soon as I hear stuff, you'll hear stuff. You'll hear stuff. These hiccups are killing me. Next, we're going to go into the NBA. Break down the standings. So right now we have in the Eastern Conference, the Miami Heat are in first place at 30-17, right behind the Chicago Bulls at 29-17. The Brooklyn Nets at 29-18. The Milwaukee Bucks 30-19. The Cleveland Cavaliers 29-19. Philadelphia 76ers 28-19. Charlotte Hornets 26-22. Toronto Raptors 23-22. Boston Celtics 25-24. The Washington Wizards 23-35. The New York Knicks 23-25. And then the Atlanta Hawks 21-25. And then in the Western Conference, the Phoenix Suns are in first place at 37-9. Golden State right behind at 34-13. Memphis at 32-17. Utah at 30-18. Dallas at 27-20. Denver at 25-21. The Lakers are at 24-24. The Timberwolves 23-23. Clippers are at 24-25. The Trailblazers are at 20-26. Pelicans 18-29. The Spurs 18-30. And the Kings 18-31. Not a ton of news. There maybe is going to be a Duke reunion in New York. They just they traded last week for a player. Of course, I can't remember his name right now. But there's been a lot of speculation after that Zion will be next. Of course, we're in the middle of, or almost at the middle of the NBA season. February 14th is usually right around when All-Star break happens, which is the middle of the season. So that is coming up very, very soon. Well, one thing is those Suns, very hot right now. They have the best record by far, by 4 wins. Any chance they will win out and tie the record Golden State did a couple years ago? No, we're not going to see a record breaking year this year as far as records go. But they will probably be first place. Of course, the 8 in on the Eastern Conference: Miami, Chicago, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Cleveland, Philadelphia, Charlotte, and Toronto, with Boston and Washington just on the outside looking in. And on the Western Conference, we have Phoenix, Golden State, Memphis, Utah, Dallas, Denver, the Lakers, and Minnesota, as our 8, with the Clippers and Trailblazers just on the outside looking in. Ben Simmons still has not been traded, so he is still just sitting on the bench doing whatever he is doing. Let me see if I can find it, because there was something I did kind of want to talk about. And I don't have the graphics for it. I'm sorry. I thought about getting the graphics, but I did not. College basketball is kind of starting to heat up, both women's and men's. Of course, my favorite time of the year is the March Madness tournament, and that is actually coming up very quickly. It'll be after the All-Star break, but it'll be very quickly. One great performance out of the Kansas State women's team. Ayoka Lee, she is the center for Kansas State, dropped 61 points on Oklahoma as they beat Oklahoma 94-65. She almost beat the team on her own, and this is an NCAA record for the most points scored in a season. So watch out for Ayoka Lee. 15-4 is a decent record. They're not ranked, but of course, ranking doesn't really matter when it comes to the big tournament at the end, because there are 64 teams that make it. There are some ranked teams that don't make the tournament, and there are a lot of unranked teams that make the tournament. They will have to do some work, I imagine, here pretty soon. After that performance, they'll be ranked, but they will have to do some work, especially in the Big 10 or the Big 12 championship. Of course, you win your tournament and you're in. You don't, and you have your report card to base it off of. So she's definitely going to be exciting to watch the rest of this year, and maybe if she can keep up the hard work, because I don't know what year she is. Maybe she will. Maybe Kansas State will be a big name in women's college basketball. We will see. And then the other one I want to talk about is men's college basketball. This is the one I was really like, oh, I forgot to get the graphic for. I am a somewhat basketball fan. I was a really big fan growing up. Kind of quit following it as much as I got older, because I was really disappointed in myself, especially when I was 22, watching as these 18-year-olds are signing $20 million contracts. I'm like, wow, what did I do with my life? Not as much as I could have, apparently. But when you're only 5'8" and a really big guy, it's hard to play basketball. So we do have the end of year conference tournaments are coming up here pretty soon. And then, of course, the big tournament will be happening. And I'll do a bracket special, because brackets are the best, and I will make 12 brackets personally. I do want to kind of break down the top 25. So right now we have Auburn, really big surprise this year, at 18-1. Gonzaga at number 2, 15-2. Arizona's at 3. Baylor's at 4. They've dropped a little bit. Kansas is at 5. Purdue at 6. Houston at 7. UCLA, they're like tied, but Houston's technically in front of them. So UCLA is technically 8. Duke is at 9. Michigan State is at 10. Wisconsin's at 11. My personal favorite team, the University of Kentucky, is at 12. Texas Tech is at 13. Villanova is at 14. The University of Southern California, USC, is at 15. Ohio State's at 16. Providence at 17. Tennessee at 18. LSU 19. Connecticut at 20. Xavier 21. Marquette at 22. Iowa State at 23. Illinois at 24. And Davidson is at 25. Texas Tech is kind of that big surprise. They've had a lot of movement. They beat Baylor a couple weeks ago. They had another big ranked matchup. I want to say it was Oklahoma. I don't remember, though, that they did come out and win. So Texas Tech, which they made it to the championship game 3 years ago, I believe, and lost to Virginia, which was the year after Virginia lost to UMBC, and the only time a 16 seed has beat a 1 seed. So Virginia kind of having that little comeback out there. But definitely Auburn and Arizona are two of the surprise team. Arizona's always one of those like, hey, we're here, we're a good team, but just can never make it over the hump. Auburn, SEC is not really known for basketball. They're definitely a football conference, except for Kentucky. Kentucky's always been a great team in basketball. And this year, I mean, you have Auburn, who's the #1 school right now, Tennessee and LSU. So yeah, you have 4 teams in the top 25. That's gonna be a scary tournament. Come SEC tournament time. But we will definitely do some breakdowns closer to that time, kind of breaking down how everything is going on there. It does look like Auburn's playing right now. They're beating Missouri 55-54. So definitely a fun game to watch. That's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for hopping on. I promise next week I will have graphics for NCAA basketball. We'll kind of talk about those games, those rankings, a lot more in depth come the big tournament time. But thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out our sister channels. We have TMG Trivia. You just saw me lose my mind in a match against Richie Goodacre. That was a mess, I will just say. So I'm kind of glad about the outcome of that one because now I can actually oversee everything. Be on the lookout tomorrow. I should be dropping Ryan Permison versus Jake Tato. Two very interesting people. So that's going to be just another interesting matchup. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up. It's the one that looks like this. It really helps me out. There's the one that's this. Please don't do that. Just message me. Be like, Jacob, this is what you should do next time. Or I didn't like this. I'll be like, hey, thanks for telling me. Be sure to check out all our other stuff. Colton Roberts does the Supernova show where he talks about geek stuff. A little upset he didn't give me a call out in the last episode because I was talking really good about him. I was talking about wanting to be on the Book of Boba Fett, but he didn't say anything. Robert Kastner's on there a lot with him. He was on last week too, or the week before, whichever one I watched. They're both pretty cool dudes. And then, of course, Aaron Canole does our movie Battlegrounds. You might see me here pretty soon. I don't know exactly when that match drops, but he's doing some not in tournament matches. So, because I lost twice for absolutely no reason at all, I got another shot to take someone on. I took on Jake Tato. I'll just say that. Whenever that match comes out, you'll probably just want to skip to the end, just to find out who won. At least watch the second question because that was a good one. That was a doozy. We'll just say that. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day and stay safe. Or don't. I don't really care that much. I'm not your dad, but it could be your papa.